When creation learns to dream, it also learns to doubt. The firstborn civilizations of the seeds begin to awaken, but one among them dreams not of harmony but of control. What began as the greatest act of love becomes a struggle for the soul of creation itself. A century had passed since the birth of Elarae. Under the careful watch of the Children of Starlight, life had flourished beyond imagination. Oceans glowed with conscious reefs, and mountains resonated with harmonic energy. Every living thing sang, not in words but in emotion, yet even among harmony, shadows can grow. At first it was only a disturbance in the resonance patterns, a faint, discordant pulse. Kale discovered it while studying the world's flux cycles from the observatory dome. It's subtle, but it's spreading. Peering over his shoulder, is it environmental? No, intentional. He turned to her, his eyes sharp. Someone's rewriting the harmony. The silent rising. Weeks later, the pulse became a voice. Not of the covenant, not of Elarae, something new. It whispered through the wind, in the static of communication fields, even in the dreams of those attuned to resonance. We are not seeds, we are the harvest. Elarae's sentient inhabitants, once peaceful, began to gather in scattered enclaves. They called themselves the Vey'rahn, meaning those who awoke themselves. They believed the covenant's children were false gods, that life was never meant to be guided, only freed from design. When word reached the family, Lysandra's expression turned grave. Lysandra, it's happening again. History doesn't repeat, it adapts. They're angry because they feel we chose their path for them. Errand, we didn't choose, we trusted. Kill. They don't see it that way. They think creation itself is enslavement, and they might be right if they were never told they were born from love. The Trium Accord assembled again, representatives of Xanthari, Kerathi, and human descent. For the first time, there was dissonance in the hall's harmonics. Thalan's successor, Ishiel, a being of clear light and iron conviction, addressed the assembly. The Vey'rahn disrupt resonance across 4 systems. Their ideology spreads like infection. If we do not act, they will unravel the harmony the covenant entrusted to us. Mira, you mean destroy them? I mean contain them, neutralize their leaders, preserve equilibrium. Ryan slammed his hand against the crystalline railing. We preserve nothing by fear. Would you rather see Elarae fall into chaos? Every dream must have boundaries. No dream survives with a leash. The chamber filled with discordant murmurs. Even among the accord, the old hunger for control stirred again. This isn't about containment, it's about fear of free will. Free will untempered becomes ruin. Errand met her gaze, calm but unyielding. Then maybe ruin is part of creation's song. The Vey'rahn attacked 3 flux outposts simultaneously, not to kill, but to mute them. Everywhere their presence spread, light dimmed and harmony went silent. They wielded no weapons, only resonance turned against itself. Mira and Solara were sent to negotiate. Kale and Ryan remained to strengthen planetary defense harmonics. When the sisters arrived on Elarae's southern hemisphere, they found a vast citadel of black crystal. Grown from the world's own crust, but distorted, bent inward like reflection devouring itself. The Vey'rahn leader emerged, tall, luminous but shadow-veined. His voice was both gentle and terrible. You taught us to sing, we only learned a different verse. So you're unmaking what gives you life. No, we're freeing it. The light has rules, we are the dark between them. Darkness without light is nothing, he smiled faintly. Then perhaps we must show the light its limits. The air trembled, and the citadel pulsed, emitting a shockwave that blanketed the hemisphere in silence. Across Elarae, sound died. The ocean stopped humming. The wind fell mute. Even the Covenant's faint echo faded from the stars. Ryan stood in the command spire, staring at the silent world below. Dear God, he whispered. They've silenced creation. Lysandra's eyes shimmered with tears. This is what fear births. Kale turned to her, his jaw tight. We can counter it, but we'll need Errand. Errand sat in meditation beneath the heart tree, the oldest living organism on Elarae, where resonance first took root. His body glowed faintly, his breath slow. Errand, they dream too loudly, I can hear them. Then wake them. Errand opened his eyes, not by force, but by memory. He stood, his light expanding outward, rippling through the still air. The world responded faintly, tremors of forgotten harmony returning. Erend projected his consciousness through Elarae's network, linking his mind to the silence. In the void, he found the Vey'rahn, millions of voices bound by a single thought. We refuse to be written. He spoke into their dream. Erend, you were never written. You were sung. The universe didn't command you, it invited you. A single consciousness answered. The Vey'rahn leader. Then why are we bound by your song? Because every melody begins somewhere, but it's yours now. Continue it. Don't destroy it. The silence hesitated. Then the leader's tone softened, almost human. You understand the quiet. Because I was born between silence and song. The resonance began to stir again, faintly at first, then with power. Across the planet, sound returned, slow, cautious, like the first heartbeat after death. When the echoes faded, Ryan, Lysandra, and their children stood beneath the reawakened skies. The world breathed once more, neither victory nor defeat, but understanding. Mira approached Erend, eyes wide with disbelief. You didn't fight them. Erend smiled faintly. No, I listened. And they stopped? Erend, they remembered what they were made of. Ryan placed a hand on his son's shoulder. You ended a war before it began. No, he reminded creation it was never supposed to have one. Years later, the Vey'rahn joined the Accord, not as subjects, but as equals. Elarae became the meeting place of all species, where harmony and silence coexisted. The Children of Starlight grew older, their powers fading gently into legend. And in the quiet twilight of their lives, Ryan and Lysandra stood once more at the edge of the world, gazing across the glowing horizon. Ryan, so this is how peace sounds. Not silence, not song, but something between. It's what we always wanted, creation learning to dream without fear. He looked at her, a smile tracing his lips. And maybe that's what love always was, the war we win by refusing to fight. They watched as new stars ignited across the heavens, children of the covenant, born from love and conflict, learning again to sing. And somewhere beyond the stars, the universe listened. Centuries after the dreaming war, creation enters a quiet winter. Stars dim, worlds slow, and in the fading harmony of the covenant, a single descendant of Ryan and Lysandra awakens with a calling written into their very soul. Not to fight, but to reignite the universe before its final sleep. It had been 600 years since the dreaming war ended. Under the Triumph Accord, peace endured, but creation itself grew tired. Across the galaxy, stars that once blazed with new resonance flickered. Worlds built on the seeds of tomorrow slowed in their evolution, as if the universe were pausing to take a breath it no longer wished to release. In the floating citadel of Xanthara, a soft silence settled over the crystal gardens, the place where all Starlight descendants were born. Flowers that once glowed with eternal energy dimmed into pale reflections. In the center of the garden stood the monument of first light, carved in honor of Ryan Hale and Lysandra Vale. And beneath it knelt a young figure. A girl no older than 20, her hair a pale shimmer of silver gold, her eyes glowing softly with shifting hues. Karathi intelligence, human courage, and Xanthari harmony woven into one. Her name was Ariana Hale Vale, and she was the last living descendant of the Children of Starlight. She pressed her hand to the monument, whispering, Ariana, I feel it calling. The universe, it's fading. Behind her, the wind shifted. A familiar presence approached, an elder Xanthari woman, soft light brimming faintly from her skin. Matriarch Lysel, all creation feels it now. The covenant grows quiet, and so do the stars. Ariana rose slowly, her voice steady but trembling. Then why is no one doing anything? Because only one can. Ariana swallowed. She already knew who. The heart spire of Elarae, once brilliant with consciousness, now flickered like a dying candle. Ariana walked its ancient halls, her fingers brushing the humming walls that once sang in harmony. Now they buzzed with static. At the top of the spire she found Erend, the eldest of the original Children of Starlight, now frail but luminous, his light weakened but unbroken. His voice cracked with age but carried the same calm power. Erend, you came. You knew I would. He nodded, smiling softly. You feel it, don't you? The threads unraveling. Ariana looked out through the spire's crystalline window. Across the horizon, Elarae's sky, once alive with colors, dimmed to a muted pale. Why me? There are dozens of Accord guardians, entire civilizations. Touching her hand, because you carry our family's resonance. You are the only one who hears the covenant not as a voice, but as a heartbeat. Ariana's breath caught. Then it's dying. Aaron closed his eyes. No, it's waiting. At the center of Elarae lay the Well of Resonance, the birthplace of the planet's consciousness, where the covenant first breathed life into the seeds of tomorrow. No one had entered the well for centuries. Now its gates opened at Ariana's approach, reacting to her presence like a memory recognizing itself. Inside, the chamber glowed with dim spirals of flux. At the center was a crystalline pool of liquid light, once brilliant, now soft and fragile. Her reflection shimmered not as a single face but as hundreds, ancestors spanning centuries, Ryan and Lysandra themselves faint among them. A faint, trembling whisper rose from the liquid. "Child of their light, why do you seek me?" Ariana knelt. "Ariana, because you're fading." The voice wavered like a dying breath. "All creation fades when love is forgotten." Ariana's eyes stung. "We never forgot. We built worlds, we created life, we kept the peace. Peace is not love." The chamber fell silent. The covenant's voice strengthened slightly enough to echo. Creation was not meant to be guarded, it was meant to be lived. Ariana frowned. "Lived? No, you've maintained." Images erupted from the pool. Visions, Ryan and Lysandra's first touch, their children's births, the awakening of Elarae, the dreaming war, resolved not by force but by listening. Love made the universe grow, fear made it quiet again. Ariana's chest tightened. "So how do we fix it?" The covenant answered with a whisper that shook her soul. "You must teach creation to love again." Ariana blinked hard. "Me? I'm just one person." So were they. She closed her eyes and saw their faces in her mind, her great ancestors. Ryan's smile, Lysandra's quiet strength, Aaron's gentle wisdom, Solara's grace, Mira's fire, Kale's clarity. She exhaled slowly. "Tell me what to do." Ariana set out across Elarae, traveling to each of the ancient landmarks, the luminous forest, where life first sang, the silver shore, where the first sentient beings dreamed, the obsidian reaches, where the Vey'rahn once rose, the harmony peaks, where the triumph accord was signed. At each location she released a fragment of her resonance, not magic, not power, but emotion, memories of love. At the silver shore, she whispered her grandmother's lullabies. At the forest, she released her childhood fear of being the last of her kind. At the peaks, she shared the pain of solitude. At the reaches, she shared forgiveness. Each time the world brightened slightly, accepting her, remembering itself. Civilizations felt it. Worlds stirred. Stars flickered awake like embers finding breath again. And when she returned to the Well of Resonance, the chamber blazed with new light. The covenant spoke again, strong and clear. "You have given your heart, now give your choice." Ariana placed her hand over the liquid light. "I choose life." The chamber erupted in radiance, swirling around her like a cosmic storm. Aaron's voice echoed from the entrance. "Ariana." She turned, tears streaming. "It's okay, I'm not dying." She looked at the light rising around her. "I'm becoming." The Well of Resonance shattered upward, exploding into beams of pure creation that shot into the sky, spreading across the galaxy. Every seed world awakened. Every dim star brightened. Every dreaming species heard a new song, her song. Love, reborn. Creation, reignited. And when the light faded, Ariana was gone. But the covenant's voice whispered one last time, "The last heir of light has become the first heart of tomorrow." Years later, travelers across the galaxy spoke of a new phenomenon. A star-sized aurora drifting through the cosmos, not a sun, not a nebula, but a living wave of creation's resonance. It brought life to barren worlds, healed fractured civilizations, and whispered ancient truths to lonely hearts. The Xanthari called it Oriana, the starborn queen. Ryan and Lysandra's legacy, now eternal. In time, every species would learn. The universe does not die. It transforms, it dreams, it begins again. And at its center now sang Ariana, the last heir of light and the first creator of the new dawn. After Ariana becomes the first heart of tomorrow, the galaxy enters an age of awakening. But freedom brings both beauty and uncertainty. As new civilizations rise and old empires struggle to adapt, a luminous phenomenon known as the aurora begins to reshape destiny again. And at its center, a presence stirs, remembering her family. 50 years passed after Ariana's ascension. From one end of the galaxy to the other, life bloomed faster than ever before. Barren moons sprouted flora. Ancient planets healed their wounds. Civilizations long dormant awoke and stepped into the light. This new age became known as the Aurora era, named not for Ariana herself, but for the shimmering cosmic veil that drifted across the stars, pulsating with her resonance. Where the aurora passed, life flourished. Where it lingered, entire species evolved. Where it touched hearts, forgotten emotions reignited. But not every world embraced this change. Some resisted, some feared. Some wanted to harness the aurora for themselves, and that tension would soon shape the next chapter of the galaxy's destiny. In the crystal spire of Zenthara, the new Trium Council convened for the first time in generations. Delegates from hundreds of worlds gathered, luminous, human, Karathi Flux-born, and others born of the seeds. Ryan and Lysandra's children, now elders, sat at the center. Kale, the strategist, Solara, the harmonic mediator, Mira, the flame of compassion, Aaron, the quiet heart. They were no longer rulers, not even guardians, but guides, as their parents once were. The chamber buzzed with concern. A Zenthari representative stepped forward. Zenthari speaker, the aurora has altered our planetary core patterns. Our people are evolving beyond our traditional harmonics. We fear losing ourselves. A human ambassador followed. Human envoy. Our colonies on Sephra 9 woke to entirely new ecosystems. Beautiful, but overwhelming. We must understand the aurora's intent. Kale stood, his voice firm but calm. Kale, the aurora is not a weapon, nor is it a command. It is the universe learning to dream through Ariana's heart. Mira added softly, but dreams can be frightening when you don't know how to interpret them. Then a third envoy stepped forward, tall, armored, with skin like obsidian glass. The emblem across his chest glowed with a black star. Obsidian Alliance Commander, we believe the aurora can be contained, directed, perhaps controlled. The room froze. Controlled? You speak of my niece's very essence. The commander's voice was unyielding. Obsidian Commander, she is not a deity, she is a force, and forces can shape or be shaped. Erend rose then, and the entire chamber quieted. Erend, if you try to cage light, you will only break your hands. Ariana is not a force to harness, she is creation's freedom. But the Obsidian Alliance did not yield. Far beyond the council chamber, the aurora pulsed, and something within it stirred. A consciousness, a memory, a longing. Ariana's essence drifted through nebulae, her awareness vast but fragmented. She could feel the threads of life she'd touched, generations, worlds, hearts, all pulling at her gently, like children seeking comfort. She could also feel tension, fear, conflict. The memory of her parents flickered, Ryan's steady courage, Lysandra's fierce grace. Their lessons echoed through her essence, Arianing through starlight. I can feel them hurting, I must return. But she could not yet remember how. Her body was gone, her form dispersed. Her presence existed in harmonic waves woven through the cosmos. If she wished to return, she would need a vessel. And creation itself began shaping one. The Obsidian Alliance, a coalition of worlds that had grown wary of uncontrolled evolution, believed the aurora threatened their sovereignty. In a hidden system, they constructed a massive structure, the Resonance Prism, designed to trap, channel, and weaponize harmonic energy. Before the council could act, their leader, Commander Vey'rahn, called a meeting with his highest officers. Commander Vey'rahn, the aurora changes everything it touches. Entire species are rewriting themselves. We cannot let the future be dictated by a dead girl's dreams. A younger officer, conflicted, stepped forward. Officer Lyra, Sir, Ariana Halevale gave her life willingly. The aurora isn't harming us. That's the problem. It's shaping us without our consent. He activated a holographic projection, a swirling mass of aurora energy drawn from sensors. Soon, the aurora will reach our space. When it does, the prism will contain it, and once contained, we will control the course of evolution. A silence thickened the air. Solara sat beneath the harmony peaks when she felt the trembling. A cold, sharp pulse cut through the natural resonance, dissonant and forced. Solara, no, someone is trying to bind the aurora. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. The aurora's energy touched her mind, faint but present. Help me. A voice like wind over crystal. Her niece, Ariana. She stood swiftly and summoned her siblings. We have to go. Now. Something terrible is forming in the obsidian systems. Kil frowned, checking readings. They're building a prism large enough to capture stellar plasma. And more. Aaron's expression darkened. They're not trying to capture plasma, they're trying to cage my niece. Deep in the void, Ariana's essence felt the constricting pull, a resonance she did not recognize, cold, rigid, unnatural. They're trying to silence me like they once silenced creation. For the first time in decades, her consciousness pulsed with urgency, distress, and will. She gathered her remaining energy, pulling it inward, forming a coherent spark. Ariana, I must return. My family needs me. Creation needs. She focused all her being. A star flickered nearby and dimmed. Her spark fell into it, her essence infusing with its core. The star blazed white gold. Energy spiraled outward. A new presence began to form within it, not a body, not yet, but the first step toward incarnation. The Children of Starlight gathered in the council chamber, their ages showing, yet their hearts still radiant. If they succeed in trapping the aurora, the universe stops evolving. And if it stops evolving, it dies. Aaron looked toward the stars. I can feel her returning, but she will not be strong enough without us. Solara placed her hand on his. Then we must be her strength. The council debated, but in the end, it was not a vote. It was destiny. The Children of Starlight would go to stop the prism. As the aurora drifted toward the obsidian sector, the prism activated, sending out a harsh, discordant net of energy. The skies shook, worlds trembled, and Ariana's forming consciousness cried out, echoing across galaxies. Ariana, mother, father, anyone, help me. And for the first time in centuries, in the highest reaches of the Covenant's ancient memory, two forgotten lights flickered, Ryan's quiet courage, Lysandra's fierce grace, echoes of the first great love. The universe shivered. Ariana's awakening had begun, and the galaxy would soon learn. When you try to cage the aurora, you summon the storm.